In less than 20 minutes, I'm going to show you 5 quick techniques to sketch your interior design ideas right on your iPad with no special talent or drawing degree necessary. I'll also explain why digital drawing is a crucial skill for interior design. Let's dive in. Let's start with a quick technique number 1, which is called drawing over a photo or drawing over a computer model in the Procreate app. As the name tells us, our sketch will be based on a picture. That means that we don't need to search for dimensions or draw it completely from scratch. Let's go. First of all, we're going to import that picture our drawing will be based on. And the next step is to define the perspective we'll be drawing in. In our case, it's gonna be a 2-point perspective due to the position of these walls. But first of all, we're going to lower the opacity of the layer with the imported picture so that we can see the lines of the perspective better. The next step is to create a new layer. And here's a hack for you, number 1. Well, basically, this is one of the most important drawing hacks ever. When it comes to illustrating new elements, adding new colors or whatever, you're gonna want to make sure that you're working on a separate layer. Otherwise, both of the layers will be mixed up. So make sure that you just created a new layer. And now we're going to open up the settings of the drawing guide option. This is the option number 1 for interior design, for interior decoration, for architecture. This is exactly the option which will allow you to draw with straight lines. I receive this kind of question almost daily. How you draw with straight lines? How can I draw with, confident lines and all these things? And this is because of this feature. But I won't keep you waiting. Let's enable it together in the canvas settings. And we're going to select perspective. Next, we're going to set up the right vanishing point. That means that all of these lines from the left will go towards the right vanishing point. Next, we're going to set up the left vanishing point. That means that all of the lines from the right side will go here. They'll lead towards the left vanishing point. Here at the bottom, you can adjust the thickness of your lines as well as their opacity. And now we're going to outline our back wall because the walls will stay, right? Only the furniture items will be replaced. Here we go. The next step is to create a new layer for our new kitchen. The dimensions will remain the same, obviously, ergonomic standards. And I'd like to keep the same dimensions for my lower cabinet. And that means that I have to outline it based on the current kitchen. But instead of having this huge fridge on the right, I'd like to have a minimalistic hanging shelf somewhere here. Since we already have the dimensions of the upper cabinet, we can simply recreate our shelf based on those dimensions. And I'm still working with straight lines because of the drawing guide feature being activated. The next step is to get rid of the lines which can't be visible behind the kitchen cabinets. In order to do that, we're going to get back to the layer with our walls, and using the freehand selection tool, we're going to select the area with our walls and get rid of them. Also, I don't need this part of wall here. And voila, our kitchen is ready to go. But we are not going to delete the picture of this kitchen yet because our future furniture items will be based on these dimensions too. Before moving on to the quick technique number 2, which is integrating furniture items, I'm going to show you how to work with colors. So first of all, we're going to disable the visibility of the layer with the imported picture. Then we can also turn the visibility of the drawing guide off, and it's time to create a new layer below the layers with our contours. This is very important. Next, with the freehand selection tool, you can decide which color your right wall or left wall will have. And at this stage, you can also play around with different ideas at the same time without having to draw anything completely from scratch. For instance, you aren't really sure which color the right wall will have, either black one or gray one or whatever, and this is how you can do that. You see, this is not a detailed drawing technique, obviously, but it is a super flexible drawing technique when it comes to visualizing spaces super quickly. For instance, you're in a hurry, or you're currently with your client and you're also visiting the construction site, and you have this opportunity to take a picture of a space which you'd like to redesign. And this approach will actually show your client that not only can you deal with the technical aspects, but you can also add a creative solution to the task. You can sketch at the same time, you can integrate various pieces of furniture and all these things. Speaking of which, let's dive into the quick technique number 2, which is called integrating pieces of furniture. So at the moment we already created our contours, right? The next step is to import our new furniture. For instance, I'd like to replace the white table with this wonderful one from the B&B Italia. But first of all, obviously we have to get rid of the white background. So first of all, I usually get rid of it in a general way, so to speak, like this. And after that, I move on to the detailed selection tool. And this is what I've created so far. I imported all of the furniture items and positioned them according to the proportions of the picture. Additionally, you can add a couple of marker strokes, pencil strokes in order for your furniture items to be integrated into your sketch. But of course, alternatively, you can leave everything as it is so that your sketch looks like a classic collage. But before moving on to the next quick technique, we're going to import an artwork. And in order to do that, we're going to create a new layer, enable the assisted drawing feature, and it's time to position the artwork on the right wall. I'm using these auxiliary lines on a separate layer. It's crucial so that I can actually get rid of them once the artwork has been integrated. Let's move on to the quick technique number 3, which is called the messy sketch from scratch. I had to check my list in order to not miss anything. We'll be using the same canvas, but this time we're going to merge all the layers, create a new layer, and I'd like to import the floor plan of the space I'd like to create a sketch of, a quick sketch. Here's another quick info. We aren't going to create a complex illustration out of it. I just want to show you this quick technique, this quick sketch based on which you can create a complex illustration. The approach will remain the same. First, we'll create that quick messy sketch, and after that, we're going to set up our vanishing points, and this is when you can actually start adding colors and furniture items and all these things. So I'd like to visualize this kitchen corner. A very crucial thing to keep in mind is that you shouldn't focus on being neat. This is not your final sketch. No one is gonna see it. This is just for you to define the future perspective. And the coolest thing about working with such sketches in the Procreate app is that you can control the canvas size, you can control the position of all of your furniture and so on without having to redraw it. So what does that mean? That means, for instance, you see that you don't have enough space for your window, and you can simply resize your canvas like this, and now your canvas is horizontal. Based on this quick sketch, you're gonna want to continue your work. So for instance, this is your final quick interior, your final perspective, based on which you're gonna want to position your vanishing points. And you already know that from the previous part of this video. You're gonna want to adjust the vanishing points. I'm going to delete the previous ones and set up the right one according to the sketch I just created, and the left one will be approximately here. And then based on the sketch, I'm going to create the final illustration. By the way, the exact same technique I used in this particular sketch. So this complex illustration is based on a quick, messy sketch. Here it is. This is the sketch I started working with. You see there are no details, nothing at all, but at the same time we can see the actual position of all the furniture items, right? And this type of sketch, of this messy sketch, can also be used during visiting construction site. For instance, you're kind of standing in front of that space which needs to be redesigned with your iPad and you start sketching and impressing your clients at the same time. How amazing is that? Once you're at home or in your office, you can start creating the final image and voila, in less than 3 or 4 hours, your final illustration is done. And because you'll be working on separate layers, you can also add any revisions or adjustments according to your client's needs. Especially for you, I filmed a detailed step-by-step video tutorial on designing and drawing an interior mood board in less than an hour, entirely on your iPad. And yes, you'll also be provided with all the free brushes, materials, and of course, inspirations. This is what other attendees are saying about the workshop, and I'm looking forward to meeting you there too. And yes, it's a free workshop. Here's the link, and see you there. Let's move on to the quick technique number 4, which is called the bird's eye view. And I know exactly what you might be thinking now. How is this type of perspective the easiest and the quickest to draw? Well, bear with me because I'm gonna explain you why. This sketch is based on this simple 2D floor plan. The biggest benefit of this type of drawing is that it has one perspective only. Here you don't have to guess what your perspective will look like. Here you have just one point perspective, it will be placed in the center, this vanishing point, and all you have to do is to raise all the walls, all the furniture items in perspective and start adding color like this. This type of sketch has its own step-by-step process. All you need to do is to master it. That's it. And after that, the process will become very automated. And now let's move on to the last one. Last but not least, quick drawing technique number 5. It is called drawing based on a simple floor plan. First of all, I'm going to get back to my previous sketch, get rid of all these lines, and I'm now going to import the floor plan, which I'd like to, let's say, redesign. First of all, I'd like to play around with colors. So at the moment, we can't work with it. Why? Because once we start adding colors, we're going to recolor the entire floor plan. You see, if I'd like to, I don't know, add some color below the dining chairs and the dining table, these lines are being affected. But what to do if you don't want these lines to be affected? Well, first of all, you're gonna want to get rid of the white background. Now we can create a new layer below the layer with this floor plan and start playing around with different colors. And you see the contours aren't being affected. And that means that with this quick technique, you can actually play around with different colors, because this type of drawing allows you to see the design of the entire apartment in one drawing. Because compared to the bird's eye view, where you can see all the furniture at the same time, this kind of approach allows you to play around with colors super quickly without having to raise all the furniture in perspective, without having to draw the entire sketch completely from scratch. Here you can simply get rid of the background, less than a couple of minutes, start playing around with different colors, see what suits you, what doesn't suit you, and so on. And at the end, based on this quick sketch, you can start visualizing the final one. And that's it for my top 5 quick techniques for interior design, interior decoration, and architecture. Here all of them once again. Looking forward to hearing from you and see you in the next video.